Hello, everyone, and welcome to A New Direction. My name is Jay Izzo, and do we have another great show. Oh, my gosh. Let me just tell you something. The book is entitled Angels and Entrepreneurs. The man who wrote it is Bob Schlegel. And let me just tell you something. He is a multi-entrepreneur. He is a multi-philanthropist. Him and his wife, Myrna, and their children who are older and are growing and doing their own thing. They're all so involved. I'm telling you, his successes speak for himself. But let me tell you something more important than the successes. What's more important is how the man did what he did. Because, we take a look at the end result of success and we think, oh my gosh, it must have been easy. No, it wasn't. Matter of fact, he had his own set of challenges throughout his entire life. His entire life is one challenge after another. Seriously. I mean, he broke his neck when he was a kid. Yep. Got almost eaten by Great Danes. Yep. He got in a major car accident where he should have died while his dad was in the hospital. His dad dies while he's in the hospital. I'm just telling you, it's one challenge after another, and the business challenges go even further than that. That's the story, all right? But he's going to tell it in his own words. Now, normally what I would do here at this part of the show is I would walk you through the four areas of your life, physically, mentally, emotionally, and spiritually. This is normally what I would do, but I'm going to do something different today because I want to talk to you a little bit before we talk to Bob about the show here. I am blessed to do what I do. I love doing the show. I get to read a book a week. I read over 200 books doing the show. And they inspire me and they encourage me and they help me grow and they challenge me and they change me. And from time to time, people will ask me, Jay, you seem to have the same thing in the show. You talk about leadership or entrepreneurship or success or something, it just seems like it's the same thing. Why should I keep listening? And I want to just say this to you. Whether you're watching on TV, whether you're watching me live, whether you're listening to on a podcast on the road or the radio somewhere across the country, every author who writes a book like Bob Schlegel puts their heart, their soul, puts their mind, their energy, and even their sweat, blood, and tears into trying to figure out how to write a book that can speak to people. And no two people can say the same thing in the exact same way. And so when somebody like Bob Schlegel writes a book on entrepreneurship, right? And you go, well, you've done a lot of entrepreneur books. Nobody's going to say it like Bob says it. Because that's what makes him his own maverick, right? And I talk about that, right? Mavericks have their own way of doing things. And Bob knows who he is. He understands his strengths. He understands his weaknesses. And he goes with his strengths. And he wrote this book. And he's going to speak to you in a way. And, I tell you that some authors may speak to you more than others. And this is why I say listen to them all. Because can I tell you something? In the more than 200 books that I've read, they've all said something to me that has changed me. So as you listen to the show, I would ask you that what you would do is that be encouraged. Listen to things that encourage you. Listen to things that challenge you. Listen to things that change you. And then I'm going to ask you to do me something I've never asked on this show before, right? And that is, I want to ask you to tell your friends to listen and tell them to tune in regularly. And then what I would ask you also to do, one last thing, is I would ask you, if you would please, give us a positive review and just let others know. That's it. I'm not asking for anything more than that. And the reason why is because I believe that we have an amazing show that does provide people a new direction. Folks, we do this show because I know that we're trying to make a difference in the world. We want to inspire people, encourage people, and grow people. That's it. And that's a different message than most shows and most things that you'll listen to are. But we're all about finding a new direction and help you inspire and grow. That's it. So, folks, if you would do that for us, I would really appreciate it. And because I want to tell you something about this man, Bob Schlegel, who I have so much, my utmost respect for him is amazing. And I'm not doing it to embarrass him. It's just that I started reading more and more things about him outside the book. So let me just give you a brief overview. Bob Schlegel and his wife and business partner, Myrna, came from humble roots in Ontario, Canada, a farming community, just like yours truly, right? Farming community in Nebraska. Together, they launched the first family business. It was called People Care Heritage Centers that grew to include 15 facilities in both the United States and Canada. And while Myrna operated the centers, Bob and a partner also launched a company called Pavestone. You may have heard of it, which became the nation's leading supplier of concrete landscaping products. The Schlegels sold both businesses and today are involved in a myriad of new enterprises and philanthropic endeavors. Bob's book, Angels and Entrepreneurs, a lifestyle formula for starting your own business and riding the roller coaster of entrepreneurship, is out and available in bookstores and all sorts of formats. So you can get this, Bob, right? I think I saw an Audible and Kindle as well, right? Is that correct?
Right.
And he's going to share the lessons that he's learned from navigating the life as an entrepreneur. You can learn more about Bob by going to bobschlegelauthor.com. That's Bob Schlegel, SCHLEGEL, author.com. So, ladies and gentlemen, please welcome to the show and welcome for the first time and hopefully not the last, Bob Schlegel. Welcome to A New Direction.
Thank you, Jay. Great to be here.
So, Bob, the book, as we talked about for the show, is absolutely outstanding. Loved every part of it. I want to just want to give a shout out to Myrna because you call her an angel. Oh my gosh, she is an angel. you did not exactly make this easy on her, did you? Early on,
she'd be glad to hear that. Okay. Thank you.
I want to quote you something that you said on page 12 of the book. I want you to understand, because this is the goal. I want you to understand my goal is to provide you with a full understanding of both the ups and downs of creating, building, and owning your own business. I think sometimes we all, at some time or another, those of us even who aren't entrepreneurs, dream of owning our own business, but it's not a straight line, nor is it always easy, is it, Bob?
It sure isn't, Jay. A lot of hassles and heartaches you got to go through.
You said that one of the things that drove you had your why has been that you really developed your business around supporting your family, but also you had this behind the scenes wanting to create jobs, contribute economic growth in your community and in the country. Do you think it's real important that people kind of get a hold of what the why, or should the family always be the why that you do what you do when it comes to business?
I think people can have different attitudes, different goals and motivations. I think my purpose for writing the book is really to inspire my grandkids. My kids know everything already, so I can't teach them a bunch anymore. But my grandkids are still, babies to 14-year-olds. So I really did to inspire them, give them something they can, read over once in a while, every couple of years, or as often as they like, and really give them something what their granddad did and what my parents before me did, and just teach them and hopefully inspire them to get at it and be motivated and start something on their own. Get a good education. As you know, my PEP theory is really made a bunch of P's and a bunch of E's. If it formally, it'd really be PP, PP, if you did it, sold it properly. But I thought PEP sounded more, but you have a marketing degree. PEP sounded a little more readily acceptable than PEP really stands for, the energy and enthusiasm of a mischievous kid primarily. You need pep. You need to start a business. You got to have the pep, and you got to have the persistence. Without that, you're lost. So I think if I can inspire my kids to get as much education as they can, education is the greatest thing you can acquire because nobody can ever take it away from you. So it's one thing your bank can call your personal guarantees, but they can't take your education away from you. So it's something that helped me over the years and sort of inspired me to keep at it.
Well, we're gonna talk about PEP because PEP is, in my opinion, is the absolute core of the entire book. And so we're going to talk about that. I want to talk about a few of the pieces prior to PEP because there's a lot of lessons in this book that I gleaned, first of all. And you actually point some of them out, and some of them I pulled out and went, oh, wow, I can learn a lot from that. The one thing I want to talk about is the word angels, because the book is entitled Angels and Entrepreneurs. And I think what you described here, I'm just going to quote what you said. You said the angels referred to in the title and throughout this book are simply the wonderful people and other blessings I've had in my life and my career as an entrepreneur, including those from the spiritual world, the Holy Spirit, my guardian angels, as well as the Lord above. When it comes to angels, and it's the first word in your title, describe just how important and that we really all have them, don't we?
We sure do, Jay. And I think it's like you mentioned, it could be the people. For some people, it's the Holy Spirit. It's good luck for other people. It's the power of positive thinking. All those things go together and really keep you motivated and just you can't. Good things happen to good people, and I think, so it's all kind of fits together. And I think there's a nemesis in this world. All those things combined, hopefully give you a reason to jump out of bed in the morning and get at it.
Mm-hmm. You talk about using our gifts and for a higher purpose. To dig more into our gifting, because I'm a big believer in that we all have been given a natural set of gifts, talents, and abilities that, when put together, are our own fingerprint.
Sure.
So help us understand about using our gifts and your gifts and serving others and making that a higher purpose.
Sure. I think probably one of my greatest gifts is persistence. I think I failed everything I do. I seem to fail the first time or two or three. I failed grade school, grade 9, first year of college. You just have to keep at it and keep digging and keep working away at it. And I think that having that, I don't know if there's natural resistance, but you just never give up. And because growing up on the farm like you did, Jay, we learned, you got to keep at it and you can't quit because it's cold one day or too wet or something like that. Just got to make sure the livestock's fed and everything else, and the crops are planted, and you reap what you sow and all that good stuff. So it's all. It all boils down to the principles of farming, like you wrote about.
Yeah, well, you and I both know, right? The sun comes up and you're working, and the sun goes down and you're still working. and what happens in between? Like I tell people, I've been kicked, bit, gored.
Mm-hmm.
I've been crapped on. I've had my hands and up to my elbows trying to deliver a calf. I mean, you don't stop just because you don't like it or you're hurt. I mean, that's just the way it is.
Absolutely, Jay. A lot of us have been there.
Right. What you and I both are in agreement about this one word, and you say a key word to keep in mind as you read the book is gratitude. Talk to us about gratitude, because I love gratitude.
Well, everybody's got something to be grateful for, Jay, and I think it's important to remind your family and your staff and your team to be grateful and thankful for the good things that have happened to us. And a lot of good things are. You pray for things, you wish for things, you hope for things, you work towards things, you get educated, and learn about the processes and the culture and the concept. To start a business, you need to get a good concept, a good product. You don't have a product and a good concept to go with it. You don't really have a business. That's the most important part of a business. A lot of people say the most important thing is cash flow, but the most important thing is customers. You got to have customers who want to buy your product and who are happy to buy your product and cause a win-win for your customers.
You've always been an entrepreneur. You talk about even when you were younger, you were always trying to try something new, and you got talked into something. I think it was this ability to like make your own coffee in your car.
The car bar was famous.
The car bar, you're right. The car bar thing, right?
1967, 1969, they're supposed to be in every car built in America. We're not quite there yet, but Starbucks is a replacement of the car bar because.
And you got into this, but there's a couple of lessons that I pulled out of this that you actually talk about. The first lesson is, and I want you to talk about this: never invest in any business before you understand the market.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Talk more about that.
The car bar. My dad was sitting behind the guy that was his friend who really convinced me to do this. And my dad was sitting beside him, shaking his head, no, because he knew the source it was coming from, and the product was a little doubtful, and just that was very dubious. The product seemed to psychologically it should have worked, but it wasn't quite there.
So when you say understand your market, what are some key elements that you look for as an entrepreneur when it comes to really understanding the market?
Well, really have to really understand your customer and what is the win-win principle. Why would somebody pay you hard money, to buy your product or your service? And that's the biggest thing you've got to overcome. And then you have to manage the cash flow to get there and succeed with it, and not make sure you don't run out of money. And there's ups and downs in every business with inventory and seasonal factors and that sort of thing. Just have to make sure that everything's in alignment and you forecasted it fairly closely so you can live through the ups and downs of it all.
When you do your forecasting, like in terms if you're going to enter into a new market or do something that you've never done before, which you've done on several occasions, what are some of the market keys that you are looking for?
Well, one of the biggest things I learned, we had a company airplane for a long time, so I thought I knew something about airplanes, and somebody offered me a deal on, I think wrote in the book, some aircraft out of Canada, and turned to be one of the worst deals I've ever done. We bought it; it was sort of late '90s, so then 9/11 happened, and the airplane business has just literally crashed. Not the right word, but the business of airplanes, ceased to a grinding halt. So I was stuck with 3 airplanes that nobody wanted and couldn't fly, and just a very expensive lesson. It made me use my I have an acronym. I take the word fail, FAIL, and have an acronym for it. And a failure is first that you fail. Really, failure is a failure is a first attempt at learning. So you have to learn. Learn from your every time you fail something, you'll have to learn a lot more about it than when you succeeded sometimes. So it's failing at something, I think, is one of the great learning opportunities we all go through, and sometimes you learn more from it than others.
One other tip that you gave us in the book that I thought was absolutely brilliant, and I think we probably do this more than we realize, is don't take advice from someone trying to sell you something.
Exactly. Like the airplanes or the car bar, both of those things were good lessons for me of that. So some of them were very expensive, and really, you have to, before you take advice from somebody, you have to look if they're getting a big commission. Of course, that's obvious.
Right.
So you have to watch that, and that's in a lot of cases. A store clerk can help you because they want to help you and give you good advice. And really, now it's called advisory selling or consultative selling, where you're getting some consulting advice, but you still got to be careful with that because you're not sure what's motivating the consultant or the salesman, to steer you in what direction. So you have to really study the market and read about it, experience it, talk to friends, talk to customers. Now with the internet, there's referrals. You can look up anything and find out what the 100 people before you bought it and thought of it, and did it work for them or didn't it? So it's really the world's really changed with social media, and the whole internet has changed everything and made it a lot easier to investigate products and companies and people.
You talk, we've talked about this on the show, but you talk about it as too, because it's something near and dear to you, and that's doing a SWOT analysis. Now, we often talk, SWOT, by the way, SWOT, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. How often do you continually do that? Is that a one-time thing, or how often do you continually do your SWOT analysis on your strengths?
Well, you kind of do it every day in some respects, and then they're more formally probably once a year, or as for starting a new product or a new division, for sure you got to do that. Often, many times before you pull the trigger to invest the money and write the first check. So you want to make sure that you've digested it well, you studied it, you've researched the product, the customers, and where's the win? If there's no win-win there for you and the customer and your suppliers, it's probably good warning sign to stay away from that one.
I think it's obvious that, we go, okay, what's the strengths? And then maybe it's pretty obvious what the weaknesses could be. And then sometimes we're not real sure of our weaknesses, right?
Right.
But I wonder, how difficult is it, because we're in the midst of wanting to build an entrepreneurial company or a new business, how hard is it to find the opportunities and threats? Because are our emotions too attached to those things that we can't see it sometimes?
Yeah, that's why you want to have a little bit of advisory board or a board of directors, informal board of directors, really to point things out to you that you never thought of. Like a banker is a great source. and they don't charge you for advice usually. So it's double strength. But that's good. A lawyer, attorneys, accountants are always good, and just your friends and other people in the business. A lot of people. I've talked over the years. I've talked to Ross Perot, Norman Ricker, people like that don't really have time to talk to people. But if you call them, they'd love to. They have some friend of a friend call them or whatever, and said they're happy to sit down with anybody and you sort of run some things by them and get some advice from different perspective, because they've been there, and I've done it several times about buying a business or selling a business to people like that who've had that experience and really are not they're independent, giving you advice because they're not there's nothing in it for them, just trying to help a kid out or a young guy get started.
It's awesome. His name is Bob Schlegel. The book is called Angels and Entrepreneurs, a lifestyle formula for starting your own business and riding the roller coaster of entrepreneurship. You're listening to him here on A New Direction. Hey, folks, listen, my two sponsors, Epic Physical Therapy. Look, they work with professional athletes, but they work with people like me and you and everybody in between. And I'm telling you, they are awesome. They will design a customized treatment program that is specifically for you. So when you're ready for your epic relief, your epic recovery, and your epic results, start with Epic Physical Therapy. That's epicpt.com. That's EPICPT.com. And Linda Kraft and Team Realtors, for more than 35 years, she has been top of the real estate business and industry. And the reason why she's been able to stay at the top for 35 years and continues to do so is because she understands the importance of relationships. She understands that it is more than just about business, that when it comes to your home, it is probably the number one personal purchase that you'll ever make in your life. And she knows how important that is to you. So whether you're ready to buy or sell your home, whatever it is, start with Linda Kraft and team. You can learn more by going to lindacraft.com. That's LINDACRAFT.com. And I got to give a shout out to Hint Water, because Hint Water is the official beverage of DBTV. Yes, DBTV, where you're watching us right now. So you know what? You're thirsty, or even if you're not, get yourself some Hint Water. That's Hint, H-I-N-T. Just a taste, just a little flavor. And we're back here on A New Direction with Bob Schlegel and his book, Angels and Entrepreneurs. And just a great book, folks. I can't give it enough. Available Amazon bookstores near you. Absolutely fabulous. I read it and then went through it again. So I've done it twice. I'm just telling you, it's a great book. So I really encourage you. So Bob, let's get to the core of this, and let's dig into the core of PEP, which is persistence, education, entrepreneurship, and passion. So you and I are on the same page with this, the number of the first P, persistence. I like to use the word perseverance. I think they can both be interchangeable. But why is persistence or perseverance so important when it comes to starting a business or becoming an entrepreneur?
Sure. I think you just got to keep getting up. You're going to knock down, like Mike Tyson says. Everything. You have a business plan. You go into the ring. That was the first time you get hit in the mouth. Everything changes. So it's you're going to get hit. Everybody's going to get hit in the mouth. And what it does, you have to back to try something. Which our company always said, try it, fix it, try and fix it. So try something, not adjust it, fine tune it, fix it. Try it again, fix it, try it again, fix it. Keep doing that. Most of my friends have started in skunk works, with bootstrappers. Start in the garage, do something in the garage, and you get through that's how you learn to get your product right, productively. You fail it a few more times, and keep fixing it and keep trying it until you get it perfected, where people can actually pay you money for it and feel good about it.
So here's the thing that people ask me about perseverance, because perseverance is one of my key, what for me as a foundational core value is perseverance or persistence. And people have often asked me, and I thought this would be a perfect opportunity to ask you, how does someone develop that perseverant or persistent mentality? How can they develop that?
That's a tough one, Jay. I think just by failing, the more you fail and get back up and try it again, and then you have to be passionate about what you do. One of the other P's, as you know, is passion. So you got to be. It's a lot easier to be persistent if you're passionate about it and love what you're doing, because if you don't love it, you're going to get distracted. So you want to make sure, first of all, you love you love the concept, love your product, love what you're doing, and then you're have education. My family came from Europe in the 1800s as farmers. They've been farming for 200 years, and they've always been the thing with as farmers, you're raising a farm, raising a bunch of kids. You have a lot of kids, and you send them to school to grade 8 usually. And none of them. I was the first generation in my family. My brother and sister first go to high school, and then went to college. But it's so the first generation to do that. You learn to be passionate. You learn to be persistent. So it's all those things add up, and it's really between the passion, the persistence, the education, the spirit of entrepreneurship, where you want to do something on your own, combined with the passion. And another P is partnerships. You need some partners, either your wife or your experts or they're all passionate. Your customers, your suppliers are usually partnership. Really, you're in partnership with everybody. Everybody's got to win-win. Your suppliers got to win. You have to sell your product for more than you paid for it, so you can pay them, so you can pay your overhead. So everybody's involved in the whole win-win partnership. That you're passionate and persistent about, and then you get the education to do it well.
So, do you think I'm gonna ask you if you think when it comes to persistence and perseverance, because I have a philosophy on it, but I'd like to hear your philosophy. Do you think it's something that you just have to live? I mean, you just have to have, I don't know if it's you just have to have something inside. You just have to go through things in order to develop it.
Yeah. And you have to want it pretty bad. So, I think if you're come from circumstances that you weren't prosperous, you're growing up or something, you needed to be more independent, support yourself and support your family and support others, your team. I think it's people learn it in football team, high school football, or any teams and sports, and from kindergarten on up.
Something interesting. I had another author on the show. I would love to hear your response to this. There were statistics that said that like 37% of employees today have never participated in a team sport.
No.
When you hear that, what is that? What's the first thing that when you heard that? Because it struck me.
Yeah. So there's a bunch of loners out there, I guess, isn't there? But
I
guess there is. And not everybody's in a team sport, and that's probably a good analogy for getting together and getting your head on, and your whole team. Every group every company should have a team attitude. Driving the team forward.
Yeah, I played football,
mm-hmm.
And of course, football, baseball, all sorts of sports.
Mm-hmm.
Growing up into my 30s, and I have to tell you, you're right about one thing, and that I didn't think about is, when you play football or especially a contact sport, I think, and you get hit, your coach never says stay on the ground. I mean, the first thing is they're screaming at you to get back up. I mean, it's kind of funny now that I think about it going back, but the first time you get hit, it stuns you. You're not, I started playing football when I was, probably 10, 11, 12 and past. And, the first time you get hit, you're taken aback and you have a decision to make at that moment. Do you get up or do you stay down?
It's Mike Tyson's punch in the mouth. You're right. Go through it. I played pond hockey in Canada. Of course, you played hockey, and I always played pond hockey in grade school. We formed our own ice rink and outside, and just put the blades on every chance we could, and get out there and there you get beat up all the time. In hockey.
Right. I mean, you guys. I know you guys would hit each other and give yourself a big, healthy check right into a snowbank.
Exactly. Right? And your hands are free, and your fingers, your numbs are toed or cold.
Yeah, I mean, but it's all of those things, though, right? Contribute to how we develop that persistent, perseverant gene, I guess, to lack of a better term. I think we need those experiences, right? And I think sometimes we may even have to put ourselves in those experiences. Right?
Absolutely. And you have to be sure you're if you're passionate about it. If you hate what you're doing, do something else, because you're not going to be good at it. So it's you got to love what you're doing, be passionate about it, and then education and the knowledge to do it properly.
Right. But let's talk about education. Let's move to the E. One of the E's, education. You're not just talking about education from a go to college standpoint here, right?
That's part of it, but I think that more importantly is the reading about it, testing it, researching it, and really education, really persistence. Again, you don't have to be the smartest guy in the room, but you have to be smarter than your competition, but you have to be more persistent. So you're going to learn it. You're going to learn it from your failures, and as long as you get everything's a learning experience, eventually you're better than the guy that's smarter than you, because you're started harder and you try harder and work at it better, and you have developed a finer product.
Well, I think this is the thing that I caught from angels and entrepreneurs, that is that you are in constant learning mode, right? That you, because I'm a firm believer that you have to constantly be learning. You cannot, because the more I learn, the more I realize things I don't know. Mm-hmm. Right?
Absolutely. And Google's made that so much easier for all of us. If you don't know something about, just Google it, and you can learn about it in half an hour. Reading a couple of paragraphs or stories about it, and it's you can get a good concept of the whole world based on Google's.
Yeah, I think Google is kind of a blessing and a curse, isn't it? I mean, it's kind of like, yeah, it's easy to access the information, but sometimes I wonder if, because we only get a cursory view of the information, and I guess we could go as deep as we want to go, but I think because people want to just get a cursory view of the information, we don't have the depth of knowledge. And I sometimes wonder if, and maybe you correct me if I'm wrong here, Bob, because you clearly have done this, but is it more important to have depth, or more important to have a wider range of knowledge?
I think the wider range, but okay. they're all important, because you go to trade organization, another big source. Association, everybody's got trade organizations for everything. Coffee machine dealers or associations. Everybody's got a trade association, and those are great. We can talk to your competitors or your other colleagues in the business. You learn a lot about the industry. You set quality standards. Do all those great things. So I think the trade association is maybe even underrated from an education perspective, because I think they're great, and I'm trying to get our guys to participate in our trade organization as much as we possibly can.
Yeah, I think the thing ultimately is that people miss the value that there's so many opportunities to learn, and that we get a little lazy from time to time, where we just let information come at us rather than pursuing our own education.
Right, exactly. I think, and that's again where the more you study about it, read articles, magazines, there's all kinds of ways of talking to your customers about. You can learn more about what their concepts are, and be consultative salesman to your customers. Learn a lot more about it.
So I apologize for that. I don't know where that came from. That came out of nowhere. Let's talk about the second E, which is called entrepreneurship.
So I think that's a lifestyle, Jay. I think you're your own boss, of course, or you think you are, but really your customers are your boss, and so you bend over backwards to please your customers, make sure they're happy, and that's who you end up working for. And hopefully that whole process, you charge more than you spend, and you can make a few dollars in there somewhere.
Let's talk about, when it comes to entrepreneurship, you wrote an entire section on principles, values, and entrepreneurial purpose. Let's talk about the importance of principles and values and being an entrepreneur.
Sure. I think you have to have an honorable business, an honorable product. The days of ripping off somebody or fooling somebody into bad product or bad service or tricking them, they're pretty much over. There's still a few bad actors out there, but really people know too much about everything in these days. Again, because of the social media, there's all kinds of references about your product and your service, and what customers thought of you, and just everything is known to everybody these days. So it's in some ways it's easier to be successful. In some ways it's harder, but it's at least if you have a good product, people are going to know about it, And social media is I think you wrote another book about that, Jay, if memory serves.
Yes.
About managing social media and how you promote your products on social media. So I think just following your books, Jay, is probably a good thing. I should just prefer my book to your book.
You are so gracious. So gracious. You talk about values, and I know that you've got a new entrepreneur. You're doing a new business right now, and you identified, that you're going to have values in your particular business. So, talk to us about the importance of making sure that you know what your values are as you're building your entrepreneurial business.
Yeah, I think that's mostly doing a good job providing a good product, Jay. I think it's you want to be honest. You got to be honest if to be successful. I think in America today, and to be a viable business, you have to have a great product because the customer votes with their wallet. And if you're not a good product, the customer is going to vote you out of business by not buying product from you. So that's sort of the great thing of capitalism in America and free enterprise system and entrepreneurship. So if people love your product, they're going to buy it. If they don't love it, you're not going to be in business. So it's really a pretty clean and swift and accurate test of your quality and your values. Are you providing good value to your customers? And is a win-win in there enough for you to charge more than it costs you and make a few dollars at the end of the day?
So Bedrock Logistics is the company that you're currently growing right now, correct?
Yeah, it's a division we started started inside Pavestone. We had Pavestone for 32 years and sold it. And I kept this division called Bedrock Logistics. It's a company we had organized. We had a couple hundred of our own tractor trailers. But during the high season, landscape products are very seasonal, of course. So the busy season from March to July, we needed about 1,000, 2,000 trucks a day, and we only had 200. So we had to hire a lot of other truckers to move your products around. So we started that company, and then when we sold it, the company that bought it had a lot of their own trucks, so we kept that little division. So now it's just basically freight brokerage. You got about 100 guys just matching up truckloads, kind of Uber for freight. In some ways, we match up truckers with people that are shipping products and want them shipped around the country. So we do about 7,000 truckloads a month, just helping people move stuff from their plant to their customer's warehouse in the other side of the country, typically.
So in this company, you wrote out, and I'm not sure if it was your son-in-law or your son who wrote out the 5 core values. You wrote, we build trust, we work hard to be the best, we find solutions, we respect each other, but most importantly, we have fun. Why are those core values so important to any entrepreneur or somebody starting a business?
Well, I think they're vitally important. But incidentally, that was my son-in-law. He was a quarterback for Nebraska at one time. So you might have come across him when you're football.
I was trying to think who Troy was when I was trying to go back there and think who Troy was. I was trying to think which one was he?
He's a little younger than us, but he's than me at least. A lot younger than me, but
he's younger than me.
Yeah. But anyway, that's come from a football player, team leader's attitude, and I thought it was a good example of that his experiences, and how it can help in the business environment.
Well, I just love those core values. I think I had a football coach in college, Tom Hood. So shout out to Tom Hood. And he would give us our goals every Saturday before we went out on the field of what we were to do. How many yards we were going to give up on defense. He was I was to be a defensive player. How many yards, how many interceptions, how many run back yards, so forth. And at the very last, and it was the same at every session, was when we were done, he would say, the very last goal was have fun. And I have never forgotten that we have to enjoy that ride,
Sure.
And we do, don't we? Even in business, don't we have to have some fun here too?
Absolutely. And that's kind of the part of being the passionate. The last P, partnerships and passion. If you're not having fun, it's hard to be passionate about something you hate or you're not enjoying. So I think you need to have some laughs and some good times and some good events in there, some fun things to really improve your attitude and your passion, and so you just get out there and work harder and faster and better.
I love that. His name is Bob Schlegel. The book is entitled Angels and Entrepreneurs. It is available at Amazon and bookstores everywhere. So get yourself a copy. We're going to be right back because you're listening to him on A New Direction. Hey, folks, my two sponsors, Epic Physical Therapy, who I talk about often and regularly. Look, their facility offers the most advanced off-the-line equipment, including the Ultra G anti-gravity treadmill, Normatec compression sleeves, game ready. They're trained and certified in most comprehensive cutting-edge treatments like blood flow restriction therapy, dry needling, cupping. That's just a few. Look, when you're ready for your epic relief, your epic recovery, and your epic results, just turn to Epic Physical Therapy. That's epicpt.com. That's EPICPT.com. And Linda Craft and Team Realtors. You know what? Here's the deal. There's a reason why her clients and customers say she is a legend of customer service. And why do they say she's a legend of customer service? It's because she continues to follow up and stay in contact with her customers and clients even after they purchase a sale. Stays in touch, wants to know what's going on in their lives. Matter of fact, they have a pie day every Thanksgiving where they give out these enormous pumpkin and apple pies. And her first client from 1985 comes in and gets their pie. They give out hundreds of them so that they can stay in contact. It's just one of the several things that they do to stay in contact with their clients because they do care. So listen, when you're ready to sell your home or buy your home, start with Linda Craft at Team Realtors. You can learn more by going to lindacraft.com. That's LINDACRAFT.com. And we're back here on A New Direction with my friend Bob Schlegel and his book, Angels and Entrepreneurs. Bob, I hope you're enjoying yourself.
A lot of fun here, Jay.
To steal from what we talked about prior to the break. Passion is the last. Actually, it's the second to the last P because I want to talk about partnerships too. But in PEP, right? So passion. You say there's a lot to be said for turning a hobby or a talent into a money-making venture. I highly recommend it. But don't rule out other opportunities. What do you mean don't rule out? I mean, I think it's obvious, right? We know that, okay, listen, if you've got the gifting to do whatever you're doing, you would love to make a living doing that. But what do you mean by don't rule out other opportunities?
I think you're always looking for options. When I was a kid, back in my accounting days, CPA, I was always looking for different opportunities, what companies are successful and what's going on. And just somebody will leave you a comment. Well, you should do that, or you should open this restaurant, or you should start this deal, or start selling cars, or something like that. Just here, you think you come across things by all kinds of different routes. From one education is one point, but just your colleagues looking for business opportunities. Back in my day, you used to have business opportunities in the newspaper. You used to review them every day, every chance I had in your newspaper. But I think they're gone now. But lots of things again on the web that can get you in there. And I think it really, I said, you just have big, hairy. I used to go by something called big BHAGs, big, hairy, audacious goals. And so when you're doing something, you hear of a product or a sale that's something that's going on my trucking company, for example. You set your big, hairy, what your goal is, where you want to be in 5 years from now. You want to be I'm talking big, hairy. I'm talking like 100 million or 200 million if you're at 10 now. So something, it's going to take you 4 or 5 years to work towards. But write it down and put it in the right-hand column of your spreadsheet. That's your goal in 10 years or your goal period is to get to $100 million in sales or $1 billion in sales. Something that's kind of achievable with a lot of good luck and a lot of good graces and a lot of hard work. But sort of set that goal, and then another thing I have is key performance indicators. Measure your key performance indicators in your current company, and every business has some KPIs, key performance things that should be measured every day, like how many truckloads or how many cars or ice cream cones or whatever you're doing, and have a daily log of that. And hopefully everybody in sales or marketing is aware of that number. So every day they want to know how much did we do yesterday? One of the companies now we do it in cubic yards, or we used to do square foot of paving stones, square foot of concrete every day, that sort of thing that we manufactured and that we delivered and that we sold. So that every day the people in sales all knew your quantities that you did that day and the day before, and is it better? Did you hit your goal, or you weaken your goal? What do we have to do to achieve that? So that whole KPI, key performance indicators thing, I think is real important. And to everybody, and another being passionate is what's measured matters. So things that you measure, people know they're being measured at it, matter to people. So your KPIs can be something, a little scorecard they get every day. It'd be like without KPIs, like watching a football game without the scoreboard. So you have to have, they have to have that scoreboard there, and record your units of whatever you're selling. So you have something to get excited about and be passionate about, and you have little contests, and it's part of the team spirit. The team works together to make sure you're hitting those KPIs and getting on with your production.
I have had young people come to me when I have spoken at different events. I've had young people come to me and say, how do I find out what I'm passionate about? When a young person or even an older person comes to you and say, I don't even know what I'm passionate about, what do you tell them?
I think you got to figure it out on your own. I think it's hard to be somebody to teach you what you're passionate about. Either you like it or you don't. And people are good at art. Some people aren't. Numbers people are good at. Some people aren't. So if you do something you're good at, you have some talent in, or can learn how to be talented, or learn the task to be talented, and just keep digging away at it. But I think you got to find it on your own. I think passion is something. Either you love somebody or something, or you don't. So it's all about your personal achievements, your goals and thoughts, and what's in your head at the time.
I think one of the things sometimes we miss when we talk about the word passion, I think we're looking for some sort of an emotional response to something. But, you pointed out that you're really, really good with numbers, that you're this walking calculator, I think is how you
my kids call me that. I'm not sure about it. I'm getting a little these days, right?
So sometimes I wonder if we mistake the word passion for what are you naturally good at?
Sure. I think probably, yeah, I can get passionate about a spreadsheet. I never did a spreadsheet I didn't like, that sort of thing. So, it's I guess you get passionate about a spreadsheet, but some people can, some people can't. So I guess there's a lot of truth to what you just said, Jay, in that regard.
Yeah, I think I would encourage like the listeners and people who are watching, and if you're curious about your passions, just take a look. What are you good at? Because a lot of times we take for granted the things that we're I'm just good at it, right? I'm good at numbers.
Mm-hmm.
Well, if you're naturally good at it, chances are it's a passion.
Yeah.
You enjoy it. I think that's sometimes why people miss it. You say in passion for the process. You say keep in mind that you can find passion in many ways as an entrepreneur. Some businesses offer more day-to-day excitement than others. Some are more fun to talk about with friends, and some demand more creativity. Let's talk a bit more about that.
But you really did read the book, didn't you? I'm impressed.
Oh, I really did. I really did. I read it from cover to cover. I can even tell you I've even looked at your pictures in the middle of the book when you're in the hospital. I've read it all. I have.
Well, good. Yeah. So what was the question again, Jason?
I guess I wanted you to expand on a key to firing up your passions is to get into a business that engages you on multiple levels. Sure. And
I think when you get once you're passionate about something, you're going to study it, you're going to learn about it, you're going to read about it, you're going to talk about it. We all have friends that are passionate about something that you don't care about, and they always go on and on about it. Sometimes a little longer than you want to listen to it. But it's fun to watch somebody that passionate about it that they do talk about it all the time and do live the spirit of what they're doing. So I think that's important. Another thing, Jay, is when you're not passionate about something, get over it. I have something called GOI, get over it. So when you're, say you had some bad things happen in your life, or somebody treated you bad, or looked at you funny, or made you discouraged about something, or called you out, or something, or just bad luck. I think you have to be grateful for what you got, and what you don't have, get over it, and put it behind you. And if somebody's done you wrong, you can't go on holding a grudge for the rest of your life. You'd be grateful for a long time, but you can't be have a giant grudge against somebody. They'll eat you up and tear you apart, and just you're digging a big hole. The more you can't get over a bad something in a disaster in your life.
Well, let's talk about GOI, because you say two things: get over it and get on with it.
Exactly. I think, Jay, sometime you need, lots of things happen to people. Good things happen to bad things happen to good people. But a lot of them are much harder to get over than others, of course, as we all know. But I think that the easy one is an argument with your brother or your wife or your customer or your partner. You just got to get to the bottom of that, and you can't let that eat you up and go on, creating hatred or bad feelings in your life or their life. It's just nobody wins, and the more you divide up, divorces are, you cut your estate in half every time you get a divorce. So it's you just got to kind of think about all the options and be grateful for good things and get over the bad things and go on with your life.
You state in chapter 7, when bad times hit, get over it and get on with it, which is the chapter which we're getting GOI, get over it. One of the lessons that you say, and I want you to really speak to this, even a severe failure is not fatal to you or your career.
Well, we've been on the verge of bankruptcy, like I started my book with, Jay, if you remember. You just got to keep working towards solutions and keep trying things. And we look for different partners, and we found a partner who was good for a year or two, and then you go on with that, and that didn't work out, so you change and keep going forward. But you can never give up, and you have to keep being persistent and trying new things and looking for new options to re-engineer, to reformat your business.
You also say that lessons learned when bad times hit. You say stay positive and empathetic towards others in difficult times can be a lifesaver. Explain that.
Absolutely, Jay. Especially when you're nothing's good happening for your company, or your cash flow is bad, or your recession hits, like the 08, 09 year recession. That put a lot of anybody that's over leveraged, felt that and got in. Most people over leveraged got in deep trouble. And I know I was one of them. So it's just got to fight your way through that kind of stuff and get on with it and find the right solution. Everybody's help for a win-win. Sometimes a win-win can be both people not losing as much as they could have if it goes to court or goes to trial or goes to bankruptcy and that sort of thing.
How did you stay positive?
Well, I had a very positive wife, very positive family, and just kept getting up in the morning and keep doing it. I knew there was a light at the end of the tunnel. Hopefully it's not a train, and so every morning it took a couple of years to get out through the recession.
Right.
But you just got to keep at it every day and being honest with. I think honesty is another good thing. It's got to, and a positive thing. It's got to be honest with your creditors and your lenders and your bankers and that sort of thing, and just keep telling them you're going to work at it and you want to get out of this as bad as they do.
I want to talk about something that you talked about in this chapter 7, when bad times hit. You talk about the power of forgiveness in business. And people will often say that there is no room for forgiveness in business, but you see it differently.
Yes, I think you have to get on with it. You don't have to forget it, but you have to forgive it, because it's going to hurt you more than it is them, just because you're resentful forever and ever. You just can't. I can't live like that. So you have to still want to, at the end of the day, shake the guy's hand and see what the opportunities are to carry on.
There is something to be said, though, isn't it? When we can, right. You're not going to, you may not forget it, but to forgive it releases it for you, doesn't it?
It sure does, Dan. It gets it out of your mind and gets you thinking about better and more creative, constructive things, and gives you the option to, come up with something new, new ideas, or maybe you obviously don't want to do some business maybe again with somebody that's done you bad or done you wrong, but you find more different customers that like the product or the service, maybe their competitor or your competitor, or there's always somebody in a similar situation that you can learn from, or they can learn from you, and you can help them be successful at something.
And you've done this. You've actually gone to people, right? And right, did I read that right? You've actually gone to some people and said, hey, look, I forgive you.
Yeah, for sure. And several cases, many times, and they've come to me also. Sometimes you do it unintentionally. You do something that causes somebody else difficulties, and you didn't intend it, and the non-intended consequences. The rule everybody's talking about, these days. So there's always, whenever every action is an opposite reaction. So there's always kinds of things like that can jam up the system in a lot of cases.
And you talk about, I think you talked about too, in one of the stories that you're talking about in forgiveness, that you ended up becoming great friends as a result.
When I first, one of our first, we had a competitor, 35 years ago, I guess. He started a product very similar to ours. We had a patent on it, and he didn't know about patents. So we ended up suing him. He stopped the patent as soon as he realized it, and now we still we run into each other every couple months. And we have a big laugh about it. We taught each other about patent law. He keeps telling me so.
That's awesome. Well, listen, we've been on for an hour. You've been an amazing guest. How can people get a hold of you?
Well, my bobschlegelauthor.com is there. It's going to be, the book's going to be in bookstores in August. It's going to hit the airport bookstores. I'm sorry, in August. That'll be hopefully some travelers can pick it up. And it's going to be, of course, it's on Amazon and Barnes and Noble, I believe, right now.
Yeah.
In all kinds of formats, like you said. It's been I'm happy to say we became a Wall Street Journal bestseller list the first couple of weeks in the form when it first came out. So
Awesome.
We're excited about that, and we're hoping people can enjoy the book and maybe learn a little bit from it and be their own successful and create their own foundations and change the world.
Thanks. His name is Bob Schlegel. The book's called Angels and Entrepreneurs. Folks, that's the show. You know what I say to you every week, and you know what that is, right? You are in control of three things in your life: your attitude, your effort, and getting back up again. It may be difficult, it may be hard, and I know the circumstances may not be easy, but you are absolutely in control of those three things. Take control of them now. I'm going to be back next week with another great guest. It's going to be another great book. It's going to be another great show. And as I say to you every week, I am so thankful to all of you, but ciao, everybody.
Thanks, Ray.